And now to Texas, which is becoming a battleground in the race for control of the United States Senate. Democratic Congressman Colin Allred is hoping to flip the seat currently held by Republican Ted Cruz. Recent polls from the University of Houston and Marist College show Cruz with a slight lead over Allred. Last night, the two candidates met for their first and only debate, and there were no shortage of intense moments between the two candidates.
When the lights went out in the energy capital of the world, he went to Cancun. On January 6th, when a mob was storming the Capitol, he was hiding in a supply closet. And when the toughest border security bill in a generation came up in the United States Senate, he took it down.
Colin Allred is Kamala Harris. Their records are the same. I've served with both of them. They voted in favor of open borders over and over and over again, and now they are desperately trying to hide that from the voters.
Congressman Colin Allred joins us now from Dallas. We should note that we reached out to Senator Cruz's office if he was available today, not received a response as of right now. But Congressman, it's great seeing you. I thank you for being with us. This is your first and only debate with Senator Cruz. What were your main takeaways?
Well, thank you for having me on, Jose. And, listen, I think that lying Ted was back. I don't know what else to say. He has been trying to change his image now in an election year after 12 years of being one of the most extreme senators really in the history of the Senate. But we're not letting him get away with that because Texans know he is singularly responsible for the abortion ban that we're dealing with here in this state, that he wants to cut Medicare and Social Security, that he prevented us from securing the border, that he hid from the mob that he summoned on January 6th while I was ready to defend my colleagues. And I'm glad that I had a chance last night to make sure Texans saw that and folks across the country saw it.
And Congressman, there were a lot of questions and comments about the humanitarian crisis and the southern border. You were very clear on your criticism of Senator Cruz for not supporting that bipartisan border bill that Trump killed. Let's be clear on that. How would you have voted on that bill if you were in the Senate?
Yeah, well, I immediately came out and put out a statement saying that we had to do this, that this was the bill that we had to take up. Listen, I wanted us to act sooner even. But folks should know that no state would have benefited more from that bill than Texas. $20 billion for border security is a lot, but we're the state with the largest section of the border. And 1,000 Border Patrol agents would have been much needed in Texas. More immigration judges, more technology to stop fentanyl. These are things that Texas needs. And Ted Cruz, when he was told to jump, asked how high and said, we don't need to have a border bill. We have a long tradition, actually, in Texas of independent leaders who look out for Texas first. And that's what we're going to get back to when we beat Ted Cruz here. And so I hope folks will go to colinallred.com and help us do that.
So, Congressman, just to be clear, you would have voted yes on that border bill had you been in the Senate. You would have voted yes.
Yes, of course. Yes. Yeah.
And so that bill that, as you say, includes tons of money for more Border Patrol agents, allocations and orders to build the wall, and also dramatically changed how asylum is carried out in our country. What do you think are the immediate needs on immigration and migration and the humanitarian crisis at the border? What are your immediate priorities there? Yeah.
Well, I think we have to have a short, medium and long-term plans for this. In the short term, we need more personnel, we need more technology, and we need to have the policy changes to address the asylum backlog that we're experiencing. As you know, Jose, most of the folks who are seeking asylum now are going to be denied. About 90%, a little bit less, are going to be denied. But it's going to take 5, 6, 7, 8 years for that denial to come in because our backlog is so enormous. So we have to address that, and we also need more personnel because the Border Patrol is being stretched incredibly thin with a more complex assignment dealing with more complexity from the cartels from Mexico and their fentanyl trafficking. That's all important. In the medium term, we have to have a reform to our legal immigration system to make it work because it's broken and it contributes to what we see at our southern border. And in the longer term, we have to work to stabilize the countries that are driving much of this migration, whether that be Venezuela or Haiti or some of the Northern Triangle countries. We know that we can do this. This is something that we've done in the past and around the world. Institution building, trying to make sure that we address some of the biggest drivers. We can't eliminate all of them. But that is how you have a serious conversation about border security, not just taking down important bills that will provide much needed resources.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you mentioned this because, you know, there's oftentimes talk about push factors and people don't even mention Venezuela. People don't mention Cuba, 64 years of a dictatorship. Almost 10% of the Cuban people have been forced to leave the island just in the last couple of years. I mean, this is important, and it is a broader conversation. I'm glad that you mentioned this. I also want to ask you, Carlos, because polling shows a very close race between you and Senator Cruz, but Texas hasn't voted for a Democratic senator in nearly 40 years. It was Lloyd Bentsen in 1988. Can you change that?
We're going to change it, and we are. And listen, I'm a fourth-generation Texan. I was born and raised here in Dallas by a single mom. My family's from Brownsville, where my grandfather was a customs officer right on our southern border. That's where I spent a lot of my childhood. I went to Baylor and was captain of the football team. What I'm telling you is that I know who we are, and we are not who Ted Cruz says we are. And we're certainly ready to turn the page from somebody who goes to Cancun when we need him most, who never shows up when we actually have legislation that will help our state, and who does worse than that, takes down important legislation. But I really want folks to go to colinallred.com and get involved. Make a plan to help folks vote here in Texas if you're in Texas. Support our efforts. When we beat Ted Cruz here in Texas, it will be a win for the state of Texas.